Good morning. This is Emily Freitag at Instruction Partners. Today is Wednesday, April 1st. There are about 190,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the United States. And there are some new state-by-state projection tools that have outlooks for the next 3 months. They are available at covid19.healthdata.org. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of those battling the virus and those working to make sure hospitals have the support and the supplies they need. School closures are continuing around the country. There are currently 7 states that are out for the balance of this school year. They include Alabama, Arizona, Kansas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Vermont, Virginia, and I believe California called for the same last night. Almost all schools are closed through the end of April. Today, we will hear from Dr. Wylene Sorapuru, the Chief Academic Officer of InspireNOLA Charter Schools, on the priorities her team is focusing on this week. And then we will hear from our team member, Elizabeth Ramsey, with a newly developed outline of the potential aspirations for student culture and learning during this time. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Dr. Sorapuru.
This week we have a couple of things that's trying to be accomplished. One, again, safety and the well-being of all faculty and staff. And so we're trying to make sure that we are checking in on staff. We have regular check-ins. We have weekly faculty meetings. We're just making sure, again, that our faculty and staff are in good health and in good mental state, as well as our students. And so making sure we have parent nightly calls and have parent conferences so that, again, we know where our kids stand. We know that they're feeling well. Every teacher has been asked and tasked with calling parents on a documented call log to ensure that, again, we've had as much outreach for safety and well-being as possible. In addition to that, we want to increase the engagement. And so trying to find different ways to ensure our students and families and our faculty are still engaged, such as Student of the Month, or whether we are having a staff happy hour, just ways to make sure, again, that we're keeping staff and faculty engaged in a really inspirational and motivational way. We've gone as far as to making sure we have Student and Faculty Spirit Week, videos of the week, posting just different motivational messages on Monday motivation, but just trying to, again, make sure that we increase the engagement during this time, because connectivity, we believe, is very important, especially during trying and uncertain times. And then finally, as I think back on just the mission of InspireNOLA Charter Schools, you know, having learning outcomes at the peak of everything we do and at the crux of everything we do is just of the utmost importance. Yes, it looks differently. We're doing it virtually, but at the end of the day, we need learning to continue for our scholars. And so we want to ensure that access for every single student to distance learning is available and that we have that readily accessible to every single child.
Hey everyone, my name is Elizabeth Ramsey. I'm our Senior Managing Director of Program at Instruction Partners. And today I am excited to share with you our new aspiration for student culture and learning during this time, as well as preview some exciting resources we have coming out this Thursday. So I want to start by showing you where you could find this on the website. If you go to the School Resource Hub, you can scroll down to Instructional Management, Structures and Routines, click there, and then scroll down to Establishing Culture and Distance Learning, and you'll see our aspirations for student culture and learning. And I want to walk you through this tool. So this document situates within the hierarchy of needs that you all have seen and helps try to really share what our vision or what aspiration should be for student culture and learning during this time. And you'll see at the top this these kind of 3 main bullets that describe the key aspirations. The first is students have regular touch points with teachers and our other staff to check in on the basic needs, social emotional well-being, and any academic needs. The second is that they have regular touch points with their classmates to continue to build community. And the third is that students engage in learning experiences that are holistic and guided by both grade level expectations and student interests. So you'll see that these aspirations really reflect both culture, like students' emotional well-being and needs and interactions with each other and their teacher, as well as what they're learning. During this time, we want to make sure that we're being aware of supporting both of these very intentionally. And underneath this high level statement, you can see in action what we think these aspirations look like and do not look like. So for example, something this does look like is the students receiving regular feedback and guidance from teachers and family members. Students working in grade level work and using high quality materials as much as possible. But it doesn't look like students using worksheets all day, or students working on tasks without feedback, or just sitting at a computer all day. And it's also just not a rigid structure, and we don't want it to be overly complicated, because we know that this needs to be really practical for families, students, and teachers during this time. So with that idea of practicality, I want to walk you through this idea we have of phases. So in working with our partners, it was really clear that the kind of first thing we need to do is just figure out, how do we even get distance learning going? How do we get interactions going? So we broke this down into a phase 1, which represents probably your first week of distance learning, maybe a little bit longer. And you can see in this phase, you're really focused on starting to get some relationship and engagement going. Kids are just working on learning activities. We want to get them started on something, and that we're starting to get our routines and structures in place and some light feedback on student work. But really, phase 1 should just feel as simple as possible, and it's all about just like getting everything going. In phase 2, which would be in a later week, you start to layer onto phase 1 and build from there. So you'll see that you're starting to focus on new learning and new content and go deeper in your relationships. So maybe in this phase, you're seeing students start to respond to each other on the phone to talk about student work together. In phase 3, you're layering on and building from there. And in this phase, you start to see the teacher attending to individual and group needs really specifically. So as you look at phase 1, 2, and 3, you're kind of building complexity around 2 dimensions, one around engagement and content, and then the other in depth of interaction. Again, with the idea being like, start simple, and then we can phase up from there or scale up from there. And this is meant to be like a flexible timeline, right? Like every system will see where they fit within this. Phase 1 could be a week, it could be 2. You might be in phase 2 for 3 to 4 weeks, phase 3 longer, right? But it's a way to just think about where you are in your process here for operationalizing this vision. A couple things we're also seeing as people think about operationalizing the aspirations is that it's really helpful to try to figure out analog solutions first here, because many of our students don't have access to technology. And so we're thinking about that in a really practical way, and that we want to be really intentional about family role here and what's reasonable and possible for families. So what that might mean is having schedules at the weekly level versus the daily level. You can see below here too that we have built out aspirations by grade band for phase 1, 2, and 3. And this covers different content areas as well. And you can see some light time guidance, again, assuming flexibility here over the course of the week for families, as well as like the types of work that kids would engage in, as well as the types of interactions that everyone would engage in. And everything that's new in each phase is bolded, so you can see how it layers and grows. So I wanted to share with you, that's the aspirations. We hope that you all use it and let us know what works for you, what resonates, what doesn't. I also wanted to share some tools that we are developing to support these aspirations for student culture and learning. So coming this Thursday, we have an exciting piece of new work called the Grab and Go Instructional Materials. Let me just click down to my last slide here. Yes, perfect. So Grab and Go is intended to be just turnkey resources that systems can take to help actually meet these cultural and learning aspirations for students. So this will focus on grades K through 9. There will be content for ELA, math, and experiential learning, primarily science to start. And it'll look at learning across the week. So again, trying to stay very flexible here for families, 3 hours of academic timing for K-5, 4 for 6-9. And the materials are largely analog with digital options as well, but not required to be digital, because we know that that can be not workable for all of our families and students. And in phase 1, we'll provide additional tools to help with communication to stakeholders. So for school leaders, how do you roll this out to your teachers, and guidance for teachers on providing student feedback. So on Thursday, we hope that you will click back. You'll be able to go to the website and see Grab and Go. Go there, and there will be instructional materials for each grade across these content areas, along with the rest of these resources. Again, let us know what works for you here, what's helpful and not. We appreciate learning from you.
Thank you, Dr. Sorapuru. Thank you, Elizabeth. As a reminder, here is how you can stay connected with us. Please feel free to reach out by email, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to this channel, and please keep sending us feedback or questions you're hoping for help with. Keep a lookout for our next video coming this Friday with a tour of the new grab and go resources that Elizabeth previewed today. I want to close us with this motivational message from President Carter. Each of us must rededicate ourselves to serving the common good. We are a community. Our individual fates are linked, our futures are intertwined, and if we act in that knowledge and in that spirit together, as the Bible says, we can move mountains. I wish you all a wonderful day, one step at a time together.